It's fluffy.
Tom, what are we doing?
You'll have a good fluff before a pod.
What you guys talking about?
Oh, just the death of the games console with the 22 gig patch files.
Oh yeah, Destiny 2.
Lap sitting would be good, because then, you know...
Yeah, sit on each other's laps. Yeah. No, wait. I've got into a cold sweat again, hold on.
Welcome to the channel!
Yeah, welcome, boys! Where the party never stops.
The main section dungeon.
Where the pleasure is forever and the lube is provided for free.
Oh god, that sounds like a slogan.
I've been working on that for 2 years.
Blah, 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 blah,
Get to the chopper!
Sorry?
Oh, were you tossing yourself off for a moment?
No, I was drying my palm. I was
thought it was going to be inappropriate, but Jesus!
I was drying my palm because you got to leave 5 seconds beforehand.
I get, yeah.
You got to leave 5 seconds beforehand of silence, so then when you actually start, like, you don't shoot into, you know, for instance, like, yeah, Gary Glitter gangbang, welcome to ModdedGossip, because that's dreadful to fucking edit. So, do you know what I mean? Savile milked a cow, no, made me milk a cow blindfolded. Welcome to this week's podcast. You know, you've got to get movements right. Jesus Christ. Oh, shit. I didn't fall off my chair. Right, that's getting locked in.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's fucking boiling up here, isn't it?
It's not the temperature, it's the sexual tension. Hi everybody, welcome to another podcast with ModdedGossip and very special guests. Video Game Basement, everybody, let's give a round of applause.
Oh, we're not worthy. Honest, we're really not.
Today we... Oh, go on. Today we've got a quite a loaded subject as usual. We've... how can we put it without being offensive to one party or the other? We are deciding, or debating, should we say, if... emulation is superior to original hardware, or what are the pros and cons. We're going to talk about some nostalgic sort of episodes with them. We're each going to give our experiences. It's going to be quite a nice sort of easy listen, which I feel is going to be quite nostalgic in very many ways. Who's going to start off? Like, are we going to start off with some experiences?
Yeah, experience is the way to go.
Okay. If you want us to explain a little bit more what this subject is about, basically... back in the day, original hardware was already fun, it was really nice, and you know, people got into it quite well, and that nostalgic feeling hasn't really left us in over 30 years, where there are some people around that like to go for cheaper, easier, better performance routes, which is in forms of emulation. We're just going to be comparing, and we're going to be having a nice little debate. So guys, please start us off with some nostalgia. Like, what's your favourite consoles?
Oh, that's a very, very hard question, because, you know, just going on my side of things, I've literally just spent the past 2 months spunking as much money on eBay as I can, and I've just rebuilt my console collection from scratch.
Yeah.
So
You do have a favourite though, don't you? Well, you're old
yeah,
school.
the ZX Spectrum for me was ultimately my favourite, full stop. The loading of the cassettes and some of the games on that is still for me just like wow, and that's. Again, you guys would have seen on the channel why I've played so many terrible ZX Spectrum games, because I still think they're wonderful in the same way as they're awful at the same time.
It's the sensory sort of feedback that you get by putting the tape in, and just kind of it's something about it, isn't it? There's just something that's nice about.
The games were better. They actually had thought about them. You actually had to play it, and you actually had to do something. And again, we were looking at one of your videos, and it's got to the point now that modern consoles look more at the look of things and making it look ultra realistic over actually the gameplay. I couldn't give a crap how a game looks as long as it plays well. And the old ZX Spectrum games for me, they're fucking hard work, but they're good games generally.
You kind of went through journeys with old ZX Spectrum games as well. Like you kind of we touched this on a previous episode, that you would make the story and you would imagine it in your head. Like when the newest game comes out, people are always like, "Oh, the graphics are amazing. I've never seen anything like it." But then 20 years down the line, you look back and you're like, "How did I play this?" It was all in your head. Yeah. That's what you made the image in your head.
Yeah, I suppose back then you had the jumps up in graphics, and you sort of really did notice it at the time because those graphics were the best that you had out, weren't they? But then it advances so much in 10, 20 years. I've had games where I know that, or I remember them looking fantastic at the time, and then through emulators or just getting an old console, you go back to them and you painted this picture in your head of what they look like, and they just don't live up to it because it's moved on so much.
I'd say the worst one for that so far for us has been the N64. Although we love playing our N64, it does not look like I remember.
It's the Vaseline look, isn't it? It's the Vaseline look. It's just so blurry because I was trying to play GoldenEye again. And then I put GoldenEye on high res and it looked terrible as well because it wasn't nostalgic at all. It's like 4K GoldenEye just looks as terrible as the whole Vaseline smeared resolution that I had originally. So
Mario 64 held up quite well.
Mario 64 and Diddy Kong Racing has held up beautifully.
Yeah.
Because you can get like HDMI conversion kits for the N64 as well, and I'm not quite sure how much difference that makes because the hardware in the N64 can only output a certain amount, and then the HDMI conversion can upscale only a certain amount. Like it's, pardon the expression, I'm not saying that these games are a turd, but there's only so much you can polish a turd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's only so much the hardware can do if it was coded in a certain way. Like, I played Croc. Does anyone remember Croc?
Yes. I was so jealous. Tom had Croc. I was so jealous of him.
Oh, man. We should also start up a hashtag of Bring Back Croc 3. That's what I want, because that's all I want for Christmas, Croc 3. Anyway.
Croc Remastered.
Do you know what? I'd be absolutely happy with that. Croc 1 and 2. I would touch myself. But anyway, I had Croc, and it was when I was a kid, it was like one of the first PS1 games that I owned when it came out, and I loved it, and I played it to death. And then I like not that long ago, I then played it on an emulator, which then had like it did all this sort of processing for HD, and I was looking at it, I was like, wow, this doesn't look too bad, like when I was like a kid, I had good taste in graphics, picking this game. And then I actually played it on the original hardware, and it's like someone grabbed like a handful of green pixels and just threw it at the TV, and I was like, no. It's like looking at it through like a bathroom window, those frosted bathroom windows, and I just don't know how. And
but hang on, isn't that part of the nostalgia?
No, but it ruined the mental image for me. Because I remember it being
Mario,
lovely.
Or I don't know. No, it has to be awful. That's part of the fun.
I agree with that. I think going back to it as well, because I initially really wanted an N64, and I've spoken about this on my channel before, or our channel before, haven't I, many times actually. I saw Mario 64. I remember I saw it through a shop window in France when I was a kid, and I'd never seen graphics like it at the time. It just the capability of the 64 and that type of graphics with Nintendo doing that game, it just did it so well. And so I just felt it looked so magical, so amazing. And that's what made me want an N64. And then it was Croc that I saw as like the comparable 32-bit version of Mario 64, and I fell in love with that. And then Tom got it, didn't you? And I was so jealous.
Croc, Legend of the Gobbos.
That's it, yeah.
Allegedly, and again, I don't know how truthful this is, but there's God knows how many articles online. Croc was meant to be Yoshi.
What?
No.
Yeah, apparently Croc was meant to be Yoshi, and it was meant to be a demo towards Super Mario 64 for the 32-bit systems, but they decided to go with Mario 64 instead. And Croc got relegated, so they said, well, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
And created Croc on top of it instead.
Wow, I didn't know that. So Sony bought up the... Oh, no, it wouldn't be Sony. Who was it?
Is it Ubisoft?
I don't know. It was the logo that had a mouse or a rat, that had the writing in a rat.
Infogram.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was they must have bought up the right... I did not know that. That is a little nugget of knowledge that I'm really happy I actually know now. But it makes perfect sense.
It does, and the only thing I'd say about Croc that was its letdown was the control method.
Oh man, yeah, don't get me started.
The controls were poor on it. Again, especially when you line it up with Super Mario 64 and how smooth that control was.
Controls were fantastic on Mario 64.
on some of the new emulators, you can change the controls of Croc to have the full sort of analog control. So you couldn't move back or turn. It was all forward, but it was a specific. I think it's called Ken's PSX emulator, just Ken's, and it's definitely worth having because you can change a lot of the stuff there right with one click. So that made me enjoy Croc a lot more than using the shoulder buttons to sidestep, because that was just, oh god, I hated it.
Yeah, but the key to a good game is that, you know, half it's the controls.
Yeah.
I never played Croc. By the sounds of it, I don't want to play Croc.
Oh no, it was beautiful.
Because like controls are fundamental to a game, so I'm sure it's good. It was just not moving.
It was just a fantastical element of it. It was just so cute and just innocent and just awesome.
That's
and
one
for
of the
me,
reasons I liked it.
Yeah, bizarrely, it was out in the kind of the era where we had Die Hard trilogy. We had the original GTA come out. You had Doom on the PSX had come out. Quake 2 had come out. So it was a kind of in an era where we'd got all these big hardcore first-person shooters, third-person shooters coming out. Fade to Black, and then you've got this kind of happy, kind of go-lucky Croc game, and it's like
cutesy sort of
the only other
magical.
the only other game you kind of had with it was Crash Bandicoot prior to that.
Oh god.
Yeah. But that's what really Nintendo does so well with their IPs.
Yes.
It's complete escapism. You know, everything they do.
Well, they must have hooked onto it, like, because Nintendo now, with all these games that are coming out, like Far Cry, which is a very real subject and very, like, super violent, really grotesque, and you've got like the Gears of Wars that are coming out. Nintendo have kind of jumped on this opportunity where they've brought out things like Mario Odyssey, which is one of the best games I've ever played.
Yeah, but hang on, are you saying they've jumped? What, have they jumped on anything? They've been doing it for years.
The popularity of this though has just gone like. If the Switch sat there and went, yeah, all right, we'll have a port of Far Cry, like everyone's lost their shit at Dark Souls being released on the Switch.
Yeah,
right?
hang on, Doom came out.
Yeah. But what I mean is,
said anything about that though?
It's kind of just gone under the radar. It's
that has always been the way with Nintendo. Has always been the kids' console, hasn't it? In comparison to the more violent games, sort of thing.
They push up all their first-party titles to make sure that they're the prominent ones, like Donkey Kong. No other console does games like that.
No.
Can you imagine the PS4's new, like, if you take out Knack, which was a heap of crap if you ask me, but that's just my opinion, what other games are there that aren't from 25 years ago? So, scrap Crash Bandicoot, scrap Spyro that's coming out.
Yeah.
There just isn't anything. So Nintendo have really kind of gone, yes, this is the market, but it just proves that even adults like Ali and myself, like, you know, I'm 32, you're 35, I think it is, we are loving these games that I guess are meant for kids, but I adored Super Mario.
I see Super Mario. This is why. See, if you play Super Mario 4, you'd know it instantly. It's the same game, fundamentally the same controls, same moves.
What is Mario Odyssey?
Yeah. He controls exactly the same way.
Stuff.
It's just there's Mario Odyssey, Mario 64, Mario Galaxy. They all control the same way.
Yeah. It's
essentially got the same 3D engine.
What's the one with Mario removing graffiti?
Oh, Super Mario Sunshine. That
I think I had that one. I wasn't very sold
on the Cube.
Oh, I think I did have that. Love Luigi's Man. I know we're sort of digressing a bit here, but
no. By all means.
Fucking love that game.
Yeah, Luigi's Mansion was good, but you know what? Going back to the Switch for a moment, I'm glad I own it because I bought it I got the red edition with the red Joy-Cons for Mario Odyssey. Loved it to bits. Did Mario Odyssey, the main part of the game, in 2 days. So it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. And I'll still go back and do the occasional moon here and there. It kind of, though, has helped push me towards going back towards emulators, though, as well. Because other than the fact that they haven't bothered getting the virtual console sorted for the Switch still, and I can only put that down to because they're releasing all the classic consoles and they don't want to not sell them, so stuff it. The Switch can't have a virtual console until they've released all of them. The thing that really kicks me in the bollocks, and I'm really sorry, Nintendo, but 45 quid for Street Fighter 2? Bugger off.
Oh, it
was a joke.
It's just being released.
Yeah.
I'm a big Street Fighter fan, and I wouldn't pay that.
You know, if it was every Street Fighter game up till 4 or something, a massive compilation, it's fine. But it was, absolute joke.
No. Yeah. The thing is, though, is that game that you're talking about is coming out, and that comes out at the end of this month.
Yeah.
Right? For 25 quid.
And
it's 25 quid.
Characters or something stupid like that.
Mm.
Yeah. And it just doesn't make sense. You pay 25 quid for all of these classic games, or the special Switch version for 40 quid. No, not going to happen.
Yeah,
it's not even that good.
Sell well. I don't think it'll sell well.
Well, no,
You see the funny
£15 like everything else.
Yeah, the funny thing about the Switch is like a 16-bit console in this era. Because a lot of the IPs they're bringing out, I bought Kirby. Kirby is a platformer. It's an evolved platformer, but a lot of the stuff they've got out there is just 16-bit, 32-bit era games with better graphics, better looking graphics.
That's what I play on my Switch most. You know, it's things like Shovel Knight, all the stuff that kind of remind me, you know, of the olden days. And, you know, Raging Justice, which is a game that came out today, which we saw at EGX, which is just a side-scroller like Streets of Rage, but it's with plasticine. And it's just got a great art style. But I'm much more interested in games like that than I am of things like Bayonetta. And, you know, I want to try Zelda because of how popular it is. And
it's fantastic.
It's a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece, yeah.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I'm having more fun playing Shovel Knight. And
yeah.
So you're saying that, like, for example, Shovel Knight's like a 16-bit game?
8-bit. I'd say Shovel Knight.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an 8-bit game, but it's made with all of the technology now. It's not. It's not, when you play it, it doesn't feel like an 8-bit game. It just feels like a modern game.
So it's
with
like
8-bit style.
genres of that period that, you know, and they've got loads.
And it was only like £7, and it's just awesome.
Oh.
It was just really.
It does look like a proper 8-bit game.
Oh, it is. Now, there's one I've got on my Switch, and I can't think of the name of it at all, but it is basically GTA 1, but a completely rethought game.
Oh, yeah.
It was a fine.
I know this. I know this. I can't remember what it is. It's 80s.
It is.
Yeah.
Shit me.
It's perfect in every way. It really takes me back to that top-down GTA, and that top-down GTA is still my favourite. I love 3, 4 GTA-wise, didn't like. 5, brilliant, but GTA 1 and 2 are still my favourite.
I'd with those ones as well. I suppose if you compare the first 2 in comparison to the more recent one, I loved 5. Wasn't that sold with 4, but it's the gameplay. Graphics have to be amazing, but also the gameplay has to be good. Yeah. You and I and our mate Johnny just completely loved the first 2, especially the second one, because it just was a bit smoother, the graphics a bit more refined, and the gameplay of that top-down look was just fantastic.
Yeah, Retro City Rampage.
Yeah, I was just about to say Retro City Rampage.
Rampage.
This is the
one on the Switch. I haven't shown you that yet. But imagine Grand Theft Auto 01, but a bit more polished.
Right. Okay.
And
sounds amazing.
It's so much more hardcore. It's genius.
That sounds fantastic.
I always remember from GTA London, whenever you started that up, it went Grand Theft Auto, and it just every time, as soon as I turned that on, I was like, I'm gonna have a good day, smashing up Westminster Abbey.
It's the music though, isn't it? Like the first ever one, it was just the music. The intro music was just amazing.
And the radio adverts for all of them as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, really good. Well, a lot of the developers were Brits. They came from DMA Designs.
They still are.
Out.
They still are. It's Rockstar North. It's Dundee, I think.
Yeah.
It's all of them. Yeah, I think it's Dundee or somewhere like that. Or
quite humble beginnings to then making.
But weren't a fair few of them involved in? I'm trying to think. Was it Psygnosis? So kind of the.
That's right. Yeah, Psygnosis.
So they've all kind of moved to our territory.
Yeah.
There's actually a patch for GTA 4, so you can play it all top down for the PC. It just changes the camera angle, so it's completely overhead. Not when you're trying to scale a building, it doesn't.
Right, yeah.
Have you ever tried playing a cracked, like a pirate copy of GTA 4?
No.
As soon as you start it up, all it does is you can still play the game all the way through, except the camera just does this all the time as if you're drunk.
Oh no!
That's their anti-piracy. Like you're sitting there trying to play it, but it's so violently like doing this. It's just, oh man, it makes you feel sick.
It's not one for the VR headset then.
No.
And Stu completed it like that.
No, I didn't. But yeah, if you pirate it, that's what happened. There's a lot.
5 minutes.
There's a lot of games that have like anti-piracy things in them, and I think they're just genius.
That was written into that game.
Yeah. If you pirated it, then that's what happened. Like there was one with Skullgirls. Have you heard of Skullgirls fighting game?
No.
I don't want to badmouth it on camera, but it's not very good. But anyway, when you got to a certain stage, it says like a message comes up. It's like, what's the price of a fish or something, or what's the meaning of a fish? And then people went on like forums and was just like, "What? I've got this error come up. Like this keeps coming up. What? What is it?" And the developer came onto that forum and it goes, "It means you should buy the fucking game, you pirate." And it's just brilliant.
Same happened with Arkham Asylum. You can't, Batman can't glide in it, so you can't complete the game. And they went on a forum going, "My game's broken. Batman won't glide." And it's like, yeah, buy the fucking game. Yeah, pirate.
By the way, is that game good? So
yes, yeah. All the Arkham series is phenomenal. They are excellent.
So that's what we need.
I've really got to get into some of these games.
So the other two we want to look at is the Injustice games, because they look absolutely incredible.
Stu's well into them as fighting
games. Oh right, okay. As we did.
I play that online way too much.
Oh god, that's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic game.
What game? Sorry.
Mortal Kombat versus DC.
No. I was gonna do like a strong arm then, and then you said and DC, and I was like, no.
Oh, we love that game.
Oh, we had great fun.
Yeah.
Heroic brutalities are not heroic brutalities are not something that should be in a Mortal Kombat game. Like, if you were the Mortal Kombat characters, you rip heads off and stuff, as long as they were against Mortal Kombat characters.
Yeah.
As soon as you were against a DC character, they just kind of slapped them around the face a bit and then sent them on their way. Gave them a nice, arse slap, like, psh, heroic brutality.
We were never good enough to learn any brutality. So normally, right, we press the key combos, douche.
And then the character would just die.
Punch the arm.
Remember 64? Mortal Kombat 64?
No.
There was Mortal Kombat 64, and then you had Sub-Zero Legends.
Yeah, not Sub-Zero Legends. That was a platform, wasn't it?
Shit.
It was Mortal Kombat on the 64. So I remember going back in the day, going into Blockbusters and hiring that game for the weekend with my brother, and like some of the brutalities were brutal. Like you could rip someone's leg off and then beat them to death with it.
Oh, that sounds like Mortal Kombat 4.
Yeah,
just beating them with the soggy end. Fuck you! Fuck you!
We did Mortal Kombat X recently because it was like 18 quid in Argos.
Oh, that's a superb game.
That was genius.
Yes.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat X is a personal favourite. Like that, with video games, like as we were talking about realism before, like I can usually take realistic sort of violence quite well, but it wasn't until Mortal Kombat X came out that I know the finishes weren't realistic, but it was the gore that really kind of turned my stomach. That was the first game that turned my stomach, other than Splatterhouse 2.
Is that the one with the X-rays where you see the bones breaking?
Yeah, but it's not even the X-ray. There's one of them where I can't remember who it is. Like they cut, a scorpion. No, I can't remember. But they cut literally the front of someone's face off, and they kind of look, and you can see the life draining out of their body as the face kind of goes down, and then like they hit the floor, and it's like a bit of brain, and then their tongue is like, and it's you're looking at it like, oh my god. And Melina, I think it's Melina, the one with the teeth. She like claws at someone's body to the point where the guy that's being clawed is trying to crawl away, but they crawl away, and then their top half and bottom half like break off because there's not enough flesh. And it's just like, oh my god, this is some of the worst stuff I've seen. And that was only a couple of years ago.
The one we bought, the 18 quid edition, came with all the extra packs, so we could play as the alien as well, and watching him bite through someone's head's just wonderful.
Oh, I know.
And the Predator as well. The graphic. I know what you mean though, because those games are incredibly violent, and they are incredibly realistic as well. But I don't know, with those they're almost slapstick enough that it doesn't particularly bother. It almost adds to the game. Where I'm sure there are some games where the violence is just thrown in for the hell of it.
I think with Mortal Kombat's a fantasy setting anyway, so you kind of become dispassionate and but it's realistic games.
It's just when you can see the life drain. That is, Cassie Cage gets a kosh or whatever it is, the extendable baton, and knocks the bottom half of someone's jaw off.
Yes.
And then takes a selfie with them, and just that, as you can see, their eyes rolling into the back of their head and their jaw just hanging, and you're like. And then all of a sudden, Social Network comes up, and you're like, "What am I watching?" Like it was a real roller coaster of emotions.
You guys, staying on you guys were chatting about Far Cry the other day because I was watching one of your episodes, and because I've never played Far Cry, but you guys were saying how it's just is it Far Cry 5?
Yeah, that's the new one.
You're saying that's like horrifically violent.
It's the gameplay is not so much violent. Like it's still shooty gun, normal, but when you're walking around, because it's a cult, like it's a real nasty sort of hyper-religious cult that believes that, their god is the saviour of everything. They like make sacrifices, and you see people like pinned up like by their arms and hooked, and then their insides have been...
Oh, they've got barbed wire around them, and there's just all lacerations, and the blood's dripping, there's flies, and it's quite extreme.
They've been gutted, and the little plant has been like rammed inside them. Like there's this drug called bliss which grows there, and it makes you go funny. But they just kind of store all their like bliss inside these bodies, and they're just hanging around. And you think, oh my fucking god!
It's getting like real as it's real and thought out. The violence is in the film, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely.
But you know what? Let me take you back to about 97, 98. Again, this would have been on my first PC kind of gaming rig build anyway.
Yeah.
And you're saying this about Far Cry 5, but let me take you back to Soldier of Fortune then.
Oh, God.
Yeah, blow the legs off.
Yeah,
the arms off.
With the shotgun,
That was more of a sadistic side though, because it advertised on the back of the box. I remember that. I've got the box somewhere here, but it advertised it had like 27,000 entry and exit wound animations.
That's it.
So it's like it's advertising the fact that where you shoot them, you will get an entry wound and an exit wound. But it kind of taught
the
you
graphics
to be
and the physics, isn't it? That's a marketing ploy to show the new tech as well as anything else.
Yeah, and then when you got the hand cannon, which is more like a fucking hand bazooka, and you'd shoot them, and like their guts would fall out, and like they fell to their knees and try and push them back in. It was, and then you're like, no, motherfucker, you're getting some more, and you blow their arms off so they couldn't do it anymore, and then you blow their kneecaps off. Yeah, it's teaching you. Like if they released another Soldier of Fortune now within the last like 2-3 years, because they did one on 360 and it was similar but not quite as violent. If they did one as violent as that in today's sort of realism and graphics engines, I guarantee you the world would go nuts.
Well, yeah, but the closest to it at the moment is the Dead Space series. Although it's not humans you're shooting, the Dead Space series are wonderful. It's like, oh fuck, you're coming towards me, are you? Right, I'm going to shoot your leg off. Shit, you're still coming towards me. I'm going to shoot your head off. What? No, go away!
Do you guys back in the day remember a game called, because we're sitting on violent stuff, and a game called Rise of the Triads?
Oh, yes.
Yes! Yes, I do, on the Hexen engine.
See this eyeball flying at the screen.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I was like,
they brought a re-release out of Rise of the Triads. It came out about 3 years ago. Yeah, it came out 3 years ago. It's not as good, but it's yeah.
Other re-releases like Shadow of the Beast. That's quite a good re-release, isn't it?
Yeah, Shadow Warrior. They've just released a new version of that as well.
Oh yeah, Shadow Warrior as well. Is it Shadow of the Beast?
Yeah, Shadow of the Beast.
Yeah, that's mental.
Because you're getting it mixed up with Altered Beast.
Altered Beast, yeah. Power up. Yeah. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go around each person and we're going to get some views on their original hardware or emulators. What do they prefer? What the feeling. Let's get some nostalgia going on about that. So, who wants to start off with the time traveling journey that goes through the sensory pleasure? Who wants to go through first?
We've done a lot of talking already, so why don't you guys hit it off and we'll sit back and chill and listen, and then we'll wait till it comes around to us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go on, Ali. You can start because I'm going to take a drink.
Okay. You take a drink. So the first gaming machine for me was the Amiga 500 with the full 1 mega RAM update, and it was great. I don't know if you know much about Amigas. You had the keyboard built in, and when you first turned it on, it would come up to the Amiga Workbench screen, and it would just say, insert a disc to play, and then you just hear the disc drive click. And it was, we were doing the emulators, weren't we? You're like, what is that fucking clicking?
Yeah.
It's the disc is waiting.
So it's like, fucking turn that noise off, whatever it is.
Yeah,
no, it's meant to be there.
So it was, you had the clicking the disc, you put the disc in, it would start to read it, and you hear the grinds and the sounds, and it's just the time it took. Luckily, I didn't have a Commodore 64, and I had a mate that did, but, you'd have to put the cassette in, go and have tea, and then come back and play the game. But that was all part of it, So for me, there was just something about the Amiga. It was, it's the whole sound, the feel of it, the fact that sometimes the discs wouldn't work. You'd have to shake them or flick them or blow on them. And it was copying. We used to have a lot of copy parties for the Amiga. So, we'd go around a mate's house and we'd have a couple of...
you had a dedicated party to piracy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
X-copy, an Amiga, and another external disc drive. Bish, bash, bosh. Grindy. Have some orange juice, have some Skittles, come back. Oh, lovely. Let's do another game. It was all part of the fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We used to copy cassettes all the time. Get a good quality Chrome cassette, copy a ZX Spectrum game on one side, another one on a different side. Job done.
Mm.
I think I'm the only one that didn't. Like, I always had legitimate software.
I told you my story before about Flashback. So Flashback on the Amiga, it had a manual about that thick. Me and my mate went to the primary school library and we photocopied the whole thing. Then I could have a copy because on the copy protection it was like, please tell me the word from page 16, line 12. And then you type in that word and it'd be like, yeah, you can play now. So it was 12. It was like 6 discs and this entire manual that I had. It was ridiculous, but yeah, all part of the fun. There was loads of different anti-piracy wheels and manuals and different charts you had, and yeah, I think that was all part of it as well. It was the challenge of beating the copy protection if they actually put it on there, which is pretty cool.
Like an extra element of the game, isn't it? Fuck the actual game that you bought is trying to crack that copyright in it.
It's the same nowadays, though. I like modding and overclocking my PC and as much as playing games on it. But back then, it was just a different aspect of that. And yeah, for me, you don't get that with emulators. Emulators are a lot more convenient, but I don't have the space for all the hardware I'd like. But definitely with the Amiga, for me, it's even the smell of it had this weird smell. It was the
granddad smell.
No. It was the anti-inflammatory stuff they put on the plastic. If I was blind and I could sniff out an Amiga, I guarantee it.
Like a sniffer dog for Amiga software.
What year was that released then, the Amiga 500?
87. 87. I got it in 89. It was the Batman pack. Yes. Batman pack. Batman was great. Yeah.
That's a game you got with it?
Yeah, well, and other games, but yeah, it was like Batman. They did this massive deal with Batman.
Right.
Was it the Ocean pack?
There was an Ocean pack.
Yeah.
But this one was the Batman pack, and you got Deluxe Paint 2, Kiwi Island, not Kiwi Island, New Zealand Story. And then like a bumper pack of cheapo games.
Awesome.
Wasn't Rodland in that?
No, Rodland I got a copy of later on. It was towards the end of my Amiga life.
Oh my god, sorry. You know, I'm so sorry. I need to say this now because it's literally just come in. You know, we did a video on Rodland. They did a Game Boy version that was a puzzle game with that Tim and Tam or whoever the characters are from that. And they're re-releasing it now on the Switch.
What?
Yeah.
Rodland is coming to the Switch.
Oh.
And I found that the day after we posted that video. So I was quite excited about that. Just so you know. For me though, I think the console for me was the Atari ST.
That wasn't a console. That was
you know what I meant. Sorry,
lights on it.
Yeah, I know, but I wasn't gifted enough to have an Amiga. I wasn't, nurtured enough. My parents hated me, so they got me an ST.
Who says that? My father ran a sign company when I was a kid, and he bought me an Amiga 500 because he thought, oh yeah, an Amiga 500, he can get into computer stuff. So as time went by, I'd always get a brand new PC. I was really lucky with facts in the specs, and I got a Pentium 90 when they came out.
Ooh.
Like I got it that month. I mean, I remember going to London with my dad in 1990 and going to this computer shop, and he paid $3,000 with a 486 with a built-in CD-ROM, the whole lot. Nice. Anyway, I then became IT support for him, so it was just an investment. It was insidious, and for 15 years, I did it all for him. So yeah.
And you always got a new PC out of it as well, which is nice.
It was a trade-off. He wasn't stupid.
Yeah. But no, I had an Atari ST. The side-loading disc tray was, just thinking about it now, it did make me feel warm and fuzzy. But I think, like, if I had one of them in front of me now, 2 or 3 times I'd put that disc in and that would go out the window. Because I remember it being nice back then, but one of my fondest memories is I was around my grand's house, and everyone was downstairs having an argument or something, like, I don't know what it was, and I was upstairs playing an Atari ST that was sat on a pool table, and it was Titus the Fox. Does anyone remember that?
Yeah.
It was really...
Rings a bell.
It was just a fox that used to basically throw milk bottles at bulldogs that run around, and I loved it. And I used to play that for hours. And Magic Pockets. Anyone remember Magic Pockets?
Yeah, the sequel to Bubble Bubble.
Bubble Bubble.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. They turned into dinosaurs and blew bubbles. It's either that or they turned back into humans. Look it up. Look it up if you don't believe me.
I feel like my life has just been ruined.
Didn't you know that? Bubble Bobble and Rainbow Islands it's either one's a sequel to the other,
not Rainbow Islands. I know Rainbow Islands is that. Magic Pockets.
What about Magic? No, I'm getting off. I got mixed up there.
Oh Jesus Christ! There was me thinking that Magic Pockets was something to do with it, and I thought my life was over.
Yeah, for everyone on YouTube, Magic Pockets is the spiritual successor to Bubble Bobble. That ain't bullshit. Don't be on it.
I was gonna say Magic Pockets is my spirit animal.
Hang on, what happened in Magic Pockets?
Basically, you were a dude with a massive fuck off head, right, and a tiny little body, and he just used to throw like tornadoes out of his pocket.
Oh, I remember him.
And then used to capture things, and then you could collect them, and it would be like sweets and lollies and cans of drink and teaching me.
I remember him.
Bizarrely, that actually sounds familiar.
Yeah, honestly, it's a real, like, it was quite popular, I think. That Cannon Fodder, and there was another game that I played.
Chuck Rock.
Yeah, Chuck Rock.
Oh.
But what was the other game? There was a game that I can't remember. You guys probably won't remember. And
Describe
you're going to
it now.
think it was a platformer game, right? But you were a normal dude, right? But you had to take Class A drugs. No, but what I mean is, like, if you couldn't get through a tunnel because it was too narrow, you had to take a downer, which would then make you go smaller because you felt smaller.
And then really appropriate.
Yeah, it was really weird. But then I remember my brother had this game, and he was like, "Play this," and me being a, I don't know, 6-year-old kid that didn't know what was going on was like, "Yeah, this is really good. I know that button does this and that button." But then when you look back at it, it's like, "Yeah, I need to take acid so I can get to a platform up there to make me fall through the floor and then jump out the top. You know, I need to take ketamine so I can get through a tunnel." And I can't remember for the life of me what it was. Right.
That's called a trip, mate. Yeah.
But yeah, I need to find this game, and I've been searching on the internet for so long, and I just can't find it. But after my drug-fueled gaming sessions, it seems.
Hang on, what about the joystick ports on the underneath the Atari? The most stupid design feature of that machine.
I think mine was on the side.
No, they never were. On the Atari ST, LX, and LE, they were underneath.
Honestly, I don't remember them being underneath.
They had the enhanced joystick ports on the back where you could put a Jaguar controller in.
Because, of course.
Yeah, exactly, which no one used. You'd put the normal joystick ports on the back, but no, let's put them underneath. Yeah.
No, I don't know if mine had it. If they did, then I didn't notice it.
That's it. You're just in denial. It's fine.
Yeah, that and Midnight Resistance. Anyone remember that?
No. That's what I don't remember.
Midnight Resistance, you just controlled a soldier. It was really morbid. Like, I'll tell you a little, just a segment of it. It was like Contra, so sort of like a bullet hell, but a lot slower. So you'd go through and you'd kill loads of enemies, and you would collect keys. And then the keys at the end, you had cabinets, and you could get like different weapons that were worth so many keys. So you could get like a triple shooter or like an extra ammunition, and then you go through the next level, get more keys, kill loads of soldiers and stuff. But until you got to the last level, and if you had to have 6 keys, right? Otherwise, you would get a bad ending. And the 6 keys, what it was, is as you got to the last level, there's 6 humans of a family that are locked in these cases, and each one takes a key to unlock them.
That's dark.
So you had 2 grandparents, 2 normal parents, and a boy and a girl child. So if you only got 4 keys, then you had to make that moral decision of who you were going to save and who you're going to let die.
That is dark.
That's really grim.
Yeah, but if you got all 6 keys, you saved the whole family. and you went off into the sunset in your truck that you've saved everyone. But if you only saved a certain amount of people, it was really depressing, because you would have one of those split scenes of you driving off in a truck with only the amount of family members that you've saved, right? And then it would have a zoom in of the eyes crying of the people that you'd left behind.
God, it was Monkey Island.
No, it was
not Terrorist
weird,
Simulator.
Man. No, you were the good guy. You were the good, but the thing is, if you didn't get enough keys, you'd fucked up. And that's what I mean. That was your whole playthrough done.
Do you reckon your parents got you this to learn life lessons?
I think it is, because now
can't win.
Because now all I am is just angry.
Well, they're going to buy you a hamster, or you can have this game. Either way, you can have to learn about it.
Oh no, they wouldn't buy me a hamster. I'd fucking eat it. And that sort of person would be like, "Oh, what's this?" But no, Midnight Resistance. And I think video games affected me. I think in a positive way, though. You know, I know these are all really like morbid games, but things I watched RoboCop when I was probably the same sort of age, and it kind of prepared me for these sort of things. It prepared me for the violence of the world, you know, without going over the mark. You know, I never had any expectations of the goodness of people. You know, I know you're laughing, but what I mean is, going through school, I never cared. Like, if someone was a dick to me, I expected it. Do you know what I mean? It was one of those things, and I think the media, like Rambo, just one dude that just went on and just killed, well, not Rambo 1, but like killed loads and loads of Viet Cong soldiers with a bow and arrow because he didn't give a fuck. Yeah. Those people had families, but he didn't give a fuck because he had a job to do. And that's what it taught me. If you've got something to do, give a fuck. You know, you have to get there. And I think that, you know, gaming from an early age did give me that sort of lesson. But I think, you know, it affects people differently. And then after that, I moved to a Mega Drive, you know?
Mega Drive?
I moved to a Mega Drive, and then Streets of Rage.
Talking about what you were just saying there about how kind of the gaming did that for you. I rewatched this the other day, and I don't know if you've seen it, Son of Rambo.
Oh, no.
It's such a good film, and it's just how this basically there's a kid that's Plymouth Brethren, so there's no TV, no electrics at home, old-fashioned wood fire stove. That's kind of their religion. They've shunned technology.
Yeah.
And he goes to a modern school.
Yeah.
And the bully kid makes him take a old-fashioned kind of 70s videotape recorder and videotape Rambo on the big screen and bullies him into it. And this is the first time this kid's ever seen the cinema thing.
Yeah.
And it just blows his mind. He decides he wants to make his own version of Rambo with the bully kid.
Right.
And it's exactly the same. You play these games and you suddenly realise, wow, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's just such a wonderful film.
I've never seen it.
I'll have to.
It's worth a watch. It is great.
I think that's another thing is I haven't seen a lot of films, but that's one of the ones that I definitely, if I'd have known what that was about, I would have seen it. I've seen the case to it a million times,
right.
but
let me just ask that. Right, boys, Big Trouble in Little China. Yes or no? Have you seen it?
Yes.
See.
Basically, the story is, if you name a film like a classic cult film, I've probably not seen it.
Whoa.
Like, yeah. So name a film, a classic
Evil
film.
Dead.
Except Evil Dead. If it's violent, I've seen it.
Tron.
Only recently.
I haven't seen.
The
Goonies? Goonies? No. Indiana Jones? No.
Goonies is a great film.
Hey, you guys!
Done very well there, Tom.
Yeah, that's also all very even too good.
Top Gun.
Haven't seen Top Gun.
Classic film.
You must have seen Jaws.
Nope.
That's on Netflix. Check it out. It's a great film.
But I put this on Twitter, and then everyone was sitting there like, "How have you got through life?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't even know myself. Like, I watched Breakfast Club when I was 25.
Going to be very unhappy with you.
Well, you had Midnight Resistance. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I had Midnight Resistance, so you know that's my excuse for everything.
Have you seen Battle Royale?
Oh no, I love Battle Royale. That's super violent. I've seen that.
Great film.
If it's for some reason, like I've seen all of the classic Korean cinema,
right?
Like things like Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance and Old Boy, you know, and Lady Vengeance and stuff. Like,
I wasn't a massive fan of Old Boy. I have to be said. I thought it was really weird. The ending was very strange as well.
The one I watched recently, and we watched it while under influences or something in Canada. Hobo with a Shotgun.
Love it.
Oh, it's great.
It's a great film. But
very random.
Stu, Running Man.
Oh, I've seen Running Man. It's violent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Running Man is a great film. I love that film.
I'd say that's probably one of my favourite ones from kind of Arnie's back catalogue, along with the Terminator 1 and 2. Yeah. The Running Man for me is one of my favourites.
Can I ask you, I know, again, we're digressing, but this is the intro. I love film. I want to ask, have you guys seen Terminator 1 and 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Have you seen all the others?
Yeah.
I haven't. I've seen Salvation after that, and that's it.
Right.
I missed Terminator 3.
Between Tom and I, this is like a disagree. He agree and disagree. Anything past, I was dead excited as a kid when that Terminator 3 was coming out because I fucking loved the first
Terminator
two
film for our era.
Well, the third one coming out, and I was dead. Then I watched it, and it was in my opinion, and obviously these things are subjective. It was a steaming pile of dog turd, and I think pretty much everything since then has just been a pile of shite, and it should have just been left alone.
No, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
But for me, one thing I kind of learned about films, especially like Ready Player One was kind of a prime example of that recently.
Yeah.
I won't watch reviews anymore, and I will go into it with a clear. Even if it's a sequel, I won't go in with the mindset of it's a sequel. I will go in and just like, right, I'm going to see a sci-fi film. Yeah. So I'm going to go see an action
on its own merit.
On its own merit as a sci-fi kind of action film. Yeah. The new ones have been actually okay. As for Terminator franchise, No.
See, I just think they come with baggage when they're sequels.
Yeah, but hang on. It's intrinsic. You can't. A film to me, if it's part of a franchise, it's got to be judged on that franchise.
Agreed.
Otherwise, it can't be like, generic Robot Man film. 3. No.
Yeah, I agree completely. See, this is our disagreement, and I can't take Terminator 3 as its own. Because I suppose if it was on its own and you hadn't seen the other films, it would be an alright film, but it comes with all that baggage, and it was just so below par.
To be fair, I did rewatch it recently and go, shit.
Yeah, Terminatrix. Fuck yeah. It's just everything about that film. I hated it. But anyway, we digress. Sorry.
I mean, RoboCop 3 as well.
Yeah.
That's not good on any counts.
No,
Jetpack.
What's your thought on that remake of RoboCop?
No.
Yeah.
Because RoboCop is a film of the 80s. It's a reflection of society at the time, and that's where it should have stayed. They don't need to remake it. They shouldn't have remade it. They just leave it alone, you know. And they're doing it with a lot of films now. There's no need. Just leave them alone.
I'm sick of it. There is enough new modern ideas out there for us not to rehash films, whether they were bad or good in the past. There's no need for it. There's no need to look at remaking Short Circuit. The original film for that is just wonderful. Yeah. Remake it. You're just going to make it Snowflake Society and base it upon, oh, sorry, we think the whole world's against everyone else now. So, no.
Another film I haven't seen. RoboCop though. Going back to that remake of RoboCop, Ali, don't give me those judgmental sexual come to bed eyes.
I will educate you.
It was RoboCop's voice in the trailers. Like I can't remember what he said, but I remember watching the trailers and was like, oh my god, this is the RoboCop film I need. Like this is it. This is the one I need because the voice sounded so mechanical. Yeah, it was so mechanical and personalityless.
Yeah.
Like it was like this is it. He's lost everything that he needs. Yeah, but then it came out and it just. When I sat in the cinema and watched it, as soon as it got halfway, I was like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And it was that moment of realization. It's like, you've ruined it. You've just ruined it for yourself.
I think for those movies, and someone will say I'm saying this just for violence sake, but a RoboCop movie shouldn't be a 12 certificate.
No, absolutely, no. Absolutely.
But that's the same with Terminator 3.
Yeah,
it was a 12A, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They need to be ultra violent. It's part. It's part of the film. It's part of its makeup.
100%. But I guess we should head back to your kind of era about the Mega Drive then.
It's all right because
Drive as well.
The wonders of modern video
editing. Great game from the Mega Drive.
Yeah. That in fact the soundtrack to that like kept me up at night as well. Like no, not in a bad way. Honestly, RoboCop versus Terminator. I can't remember what it is now. It's escaped me for like 20 years. But I remember hearing it. I rented it from Ritz Video before it was Blockbuster. And I remember the soundtrack going on. I remember sitting up until like 4 o'clock in the morning just singing this fucking soundtrack, right? Just singing it over and over again, and then looking at the cartridge that was sitting over by my TV and be like, "Oh my god!" And it would permanently affect me. And then as soon as it went back, it would always be the next game after. And specifically was World Cup Italia 90 on the Mega Drive, right?
Probably, yeah. FIFA 95 was the best one on the Mega Drive, though.
Oh, definitely. But Italia 90 was a crock of fucking shit, right? But every time that you scored, it just went, goal! And that's all I could hear.
I have played it. I remember having that.
A still of someone running. Yeah. A still of just one dude running. And that just stuck in my head for weeks. But anyway, after the Mega Drive, I played a lot of games on the Mega Drive thanks to Blockbuster, and that Mega Drive will always be my go-to console for everything. Whenever I do emulation, because I do emulation a lot, we should probably go back to that subject. You know, there's probably going to be a lot of cuts for that because we've left it out quite a lot. But we'll carry it. But when I always go back to Mega Drive, there's something about I had a 6-button controller. It was phenomenal. I bought it for Mortal Kombat 3. Well, my parents bought it for Mortal Kombat 3. The authorities better not know that I had Mortal Kombat when I was like 6, 7, or whenever it was. But it was the feedback of the buttons. You know, that really cheap membrane of the Mega Drive, the flat start button, and then if you tried to do any sort of combos on a Mega Drive, it would cramp your fingers up, and I was a young child, and it was already cramping up. I try and do it now, as a 32-year-old man, And it's like, have you seen the new Deadpool film?
Yeah.
When he has to grow his hand back, and it's like, you know, just this tiny crumpled mess. It's horrible.
But it feels massive in it.
Yeah. Well, holding the Mega Drive controller like this. That's what it was.
Right.
But
so
no,
what would you prefer then?
But the thing is, straight up, like, I love original hardware. Don't get me wrong, I do love original hardware, but I am an emulator person. I like the ease of use. I like the fact that I can sit there with this tiny little box and just plug it in with an HDMI, and that's it. And I've got all of the games on there. Like on this little thing here, there's about, I think it's about 9,000 games on an SD card, and that's Nintendo, Master System, Mega Drive, Super Nintendo.
So hang on. You're telling me, say you had a massive house with a wall big enough that you could have a complete library of Mega Drive games. No, you're saying
I wouldn't.
What?
I wouldn't. No,
you've had too much cowpole.
No. I do appreciate the old hardware. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely adored it, and I'd love to play the old games. But you know, this is Flashback on the Mega Drive, right?
But look at the box. Look at the way it feels.
The box is lovely.
Off a shelf. You open the box. You take the cartridge out. You have to blow the cartridge. It's all part of the experience.
It's all part of the experience. But by the time I've blown the cartridge and sorted everything out, I could have played this game and got bored of it, and then gone on to the next one on the list by then. Like it's the ease of use that if I go to a hotel, which is rare, but if I go to a hotel and I'm like, do you know what? I really want to play like Earthbound on the SNES. I don't have to carry my SNES. I just put that in my pocket. And
there's a difference between convenience and what you'd like in an ideal world.
But if someone came up to me and went, here is a whole full Mega Drive collection, absolutely boxed, mint condition, it's yours, I'd love it, right? I would love to go through all the box art and everything. It doesn't mean I'd play it though, which is a real shame, and I know it's horrible, but I'm a big fan of the ease of use. And to buy them, it would be so expensive. Like, I was lucky and I managed to pick this up for like £3. Right, but Streets of Rage 2 goes for £80. 80 quid on the Mega Drive, and that's you. No one has got this sort of money. Like, there's some games that are like over 100 quid on there. There's a basketball one that's over £1,000.
Jesus.
Yeah, and you're like, it's and Tetris. There's only 4 made. There's only 4 in circulation, but I've got the ROM for it. I can do everything that's just from this, and that's what I like about it. I like the fact that I don't have to take things with me. And there's so many different manufacturers on the market that make all these like pads that feel as genuine as they can.
That in of itself, you are playing on what you could say is original hardware.
In
terms of you're not using an Xbox One controller or something.
Well, for MAME and stuff, I've used like Elite pads and things. You know, they're comfortable. Like, if I actually want to get some like MAME controllers, you know, I don't care about the original hardware in that sort of motion. Like, I like fight sticks and things, you know, to a little bit, but they're clunky and they're loud. And then if my partner is trying to sleep or trying to watch something, hearing like cha 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 with all the buttons, it's not.
Right. Okay, I'm going to settle this once and for all. I'll be back in 1 second.
That's fine.
Okay.
I would say when Tom, for my 30th, he made me the Raspberry Pi.
Yes, we went down the route of an RPi 2, and it's up to N64 with every library since 8-bit 64.
So from that, right, I was really pleased and almost upset at the same time, because it took away. I was dead excited. I had this plan that I was going to buy all my old consoles from a kid and have everyone in the basement lined up, right? And then Tom got me this thing, and I thought, I've got no reason to do that, and that actually upset me.
Yeah, no,
because it took that away from. I was really happy with it, don't get me wrong. I was really chuffed with it, but it was just that I thought, no, I thought I was being so stupid wanting that. Is that an original?
That's the Hori pad.
I know. It's the 8-bit do. It's one of the best pads that you can get for emulation.
That was the Kickstarter one that's just finished, isn't it? And they've started sending out now.
No, this company's been around a while, but this works on the Switch. I play retro games. It's got both bumpers. It's got the analog sticks, and it's completely compatible. Mac, PC,
Android,
Switch.
iOS, Switch.
Yeah, Android, iOS.
It works on everything by button combination. You turn it on holding a certain button, and it knows it's pairing for that console.
No, wow.
It's a master pad.
How much are
it's about 35 quid.
Not too bad.
I'm buying a couple of those then. Because
yeah, honestly.
one of my go-to controllers at the moment, especially with the Switch, has been the Pro controller.
Yeah, it's really good, yeah.
That
the most comfortable controller I've ever held. It's beautiful controller, but it's got one use.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing. Like, you buy all these extra peripherals. Like, I'm lucky with the Elite Pad. Like, the Elite Pad, obviously you play on the Xbox One and PC, but I can't just plug this into the Switch or the PS4 or anything like that. You know, it's only got a minimal amount of use, but having that controller there, as long as you've got a Wi-Fi dongle, not Wi-Fi, a Bluetooth dongle, it will work. Like, if the device has Bluetooth, it's brilliant. Like, one of my friends bought Jet Set Radio on his phone, right? Just on his phone, and he just pulled out one of these Bluetooth pads, and he was just like, "Yep, just chilling." And the ease of use for that is beautiful. Like, he doesn't have to carry around a massive, great big Xbox original.
I'm going to have to do that just to play Crazy Taxi on the phone again properly.
Yeah.
That was the issue with it, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Crazy Taxi on the on iPhone and Android, probably the closest you're going to get towards the original Crazy Taxi, and it's still got the Offspring.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
It might not have beats part, but it's still got the original soundtrack, and that was the game for me. Going back to the arcades in where we are and seeing the stand-up Crazy Taxi arcade machine with the steering wheel.
And the thing that you lent on.
All I want was just, fuck yeah. And that was just, yeah.
The arcade experience.
Those controllers are really, really versatile. They're really good, and they kind of give you that.
They look nice.
Really
yeah, the build quality is excellent.
But if you have one of them and a Raspberry Pi, it's like you have, and the Bluetooth dongle, unless you've got one of the newer ones. But if you've got the Bluetooth dongle in that, you have no reason to get the old hardware, in my opinion. Like, they're nice as showpieces, don't get me wrong. Like, I like looking at them. Like, your T-shirt is really striking a chord with me. I love it because it's the version 1. It's the version 1 Mega Drive. That's the one I had. I loved it. But having it, I wouldn't really play it because it's all on there.
And you know what? The other side of it as well is what we found with a lot of the old consoles. Until, again, thankfully, I've managed to borrow something from work that's become permanent on loan because they're not needed anymore, is how do you get them on Game Record and how do you get them on modern TVs? So the Mega Drive Model 1 and Model 2, the majority of the UK versions came with the RF adapter.
Exactly.
I don't know if you guys have tried using RF on a modern TV recently. I can rarely get it to tune.
At work, we have to we test old consoles. Right, we have to test them because I work, with retro hardware and games and software, and every single Mega Drive that comes in, not one of them has had a SCART or anything like that. Anything that's marginally easy to use, it's RF. And I swear to God, I spend like 45 minutes trying to tune a channel, and it doesn't work in the end. And you have to sit there and manually tune it to a channel, and it's an absolute ball ache.
So there is a compromise, though. There is a compromise. For example, this here.
Oh, this is brilliant.
500. However, I wired up an Arduino board to this keyboard, so it's now a USB keyboard.
Nice.
It's a genuine Amiga, but inside, which is not in here at the moment, was a Raspberry Pi. So I've got
that's cool.
USB at the back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That is cool.
The LEDs light up. It makes the sound effects for the disk drive, so I get almost the same experience, but with everything on it.
Which is sort of what Nintendo are doing, isn't it?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's what they're getting in that market and saying this is really good. It's got loads of games on it, and it looks like the old console.
Exactly, they're playing on the nostalgia card. You've got it right there. Like, you don't have a massive clunky box anymore.
Yeah.
You've got this tiny pocket-sized one.
They missed a massive trick with that because obviously they put a limited amount of games on.
Yeah, they did.
What I would have done is made a mini cartridge with those games, and then they could have bought out game packs.
Yeah,
sold them for like 15 quid, and then you could just take. Okay, it's an SD card, but you could have made it look like a real cartridge.
Yeah.
Had the points on it, and just shipped them out. It's another way to kind of have that experience.
Funny enough, you talk about your Amiga just then with your Arduino in it. I got bored one evening a couple of months ago, and I just bought a really cheap, nasty $4.99 keyboard from Tesco. And the only reason I bought it was because it got a really big, chunky black plastic top bit with the caps lock, num lock, scroll lock keys on. And I thought, this is perfect. And what I got my Dremel out, and it now houses a Raspberry Pi Zero in there. The USB cable soldered to the Raspberry Pi Zero, and it's running a custom ZX Spectrum ROM. So it gets plugged into the HDMI and the USB on the TV, and it's every ZX Spectrum game just on this keyboard.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's perfect.
That is nice.
But it's again, just the emulation side. It made it so much easier, and I love the ZX Spectrum. From my point, from what you guys have been saying, the ZX Spectrum for me was wonderful. I loved putting the cassette in, load, dash, press enter. The noises it made, but I'd have one just have on a shelf. I wouldn't use it, and that's purely because the emulation side of it. It's just so easy. I use Fuse on my Mac, and in fact, all the other consoles, like my Mega Drive when I had it, I used to love playing Worms on there. I use Macs for everything at home, much to the annoyance of most people. But there was a brilliant bit of software called OpenEmu released, and it's all the emulators that are decent for Mac OS built in. All you do is you drop the ROM on it, and it goes to the right console. It allows you to configure PS4 or Xbox One controller out of the box, just connects it via Bluetooth, picks it up, and you set the configuration for it for each console. Job done. Double click.
See, that's beautiful. Like, it's things like that kind of that gives you such a warm feeling with it. You know, it does. The fact that it's just all on there.
And it's what you were saying earlier, Stu. It's just the speed of it. I can pick up a game like Krusty Super Funhouse on the SNES.
Oh my god, I went through that literally less than 2 weeks ago.
It's a beautiful game. It's a really underrated and not really that well-known game. And I can play it for 10, 20 minutes, save the state so I can go back to it at a later date rather than leaving a SNES on in the back corner for 3 or 4 hours or 4 or 5 days and come back to it. Pick up a different game and just get on with it. And that's me.
That's another. Sorry, that's another thing that you bring up that's really good, like save states.
Yeah.
Right. Save states are a lifesaver because I went through Splatterhouse 2 on the Mega Drive, right? And I finished it. I couldn't have finished it if I didn't have save states. Yeah. But I experienced the game, and save states, saved, that playthrough.
Yeah, but hang on, doesn't that change the whole intrinsic nature of that game?
It does. But the thing is, Splatterhouse really kicks you in the bollocks because you only have a certain amount of lives, and if you die, you're back at the beginning. It's not the level; it's the beginning. And some of it's a dick move.
Yeah.
So save states really kind of prolonged my enjoyment of playing that. But then you've also got the cons of emulation. I'm going to ask you a question collectively, right? So, what was the last game? Okay, Luke, what was the last game that you played? Emulated.
Oh God, I don't know actually. Probably
Killer Instinct for you.
Yeah, Killer Instinct. Yeah.
Tom.
Last game I played emulated was Captain Planet and the Planeteers.
Nice. Ali.
Shenmue.
Yeah, emulated.
Yeah.
My one, Earthbound. Right. How many of you own that? The actual thing. The actual cartridge.
Well, I used to when I was a kid.
Do you now though?
No.
Yeah, thank God I've never owned Captain Planet. I'm never planning on owning it either.
Oh no, hang on. No, I tell a lie because actually the last game we played was Batman on the Amiga, and yes, I do.
Okay, right. See,
but Shenmue,
fine.
No.
And I don't own Earthbound. Apparently, we're breaking the law.
Yes, you are.
Well, yeah,
because we don't own the original hardware, so that it takes away.
You can
sample
sample it for 24 hours. The law states.
Oh man, yeah, I wouldn't sample it for 24 hours. Things like Earthbound, you can't finish that in 24 hours. But what I mean is, that's also a factor as well, that emulation, you now have the whole complete catalogue. And, morally, is that right? Because this is all software that people have made, and technically, people that emulate are stealing it. Technically, if you think about it like that.
Like, for example, Killer Instinct, this is the way I look at it. I did once own it. I did get it. I paid 60 quid because Nintendo's fucking expensive back in the day. So I hadn't got my Killer Cups CD with it. So I technically paid my due for that. That's mine for life, surely.
No, well, fair play, but you haven't just played Killer Instinct, surely.
No.
See what I mean? It's any game.
Get that point, and it's not. But then a lot of these games, can you even get hold of them anymore? Like pay for them.
What?
And that's the pro.
Right.
But there's a lot of abandonware websites where it's completely free because it's abandonware, and a lot of these games surprisingly are abandonware. Not the Nintendo stuff; they'll hold their licenses for a million years. But yeah. But but Stu, going on what you said, there's a study that was done a couple of years ago, and they looked at piracy, and the people that are most prolific at being pirates, are the ones that spend the most disposable income on that medium.
Oh, 100%.
And I'm not saying it's right. But at the end of the day, you're giving money to the industry hand over fist as it is.
Yeah,
very true.
I'm not gonna lie or bullshit to anyone, right? Torrents have been a thing for me, right? But you can guarantee that I use them, and if I like something, I will buy it. I use it as like a demo. I know maybe you shouldn't do that, but I'm not in today's age where not a lot of people have that much disposable income. I'm not going to drop 40 quid on a game to realise it's crap. I don't have the time nor the money to do that. Like Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? I like the look of it and I want to play it. If it's worth it, I will buy it, right? But the thing is, I'm not going to be paying that 60 quid that they want because it's a very expensive game. I'm not going to pay 60 quid for something that I might enjoy because I've been burned by that before.
Yeah.
And the other factor of it is as well, these companies are all piss takes now. They make you want the game, which fair enough, that's going to be down to willpower. But it's not right for them to charge you 60 quid when no matter what, in a month's time, it's going to be 15 in the Steam sale.
Yeah.
Another good case of that is Call of Duty. World War II, everyone went absolutely bullshit crazy about World War II in November. And like CEX were charging 55 quid for it. Yeah. It's now 20.
Yeah.
And it will just go down. Like Infinite Warfare, people went crazy for that last year. Maybe not as much. It's £4 now. £4. Yeah. They make, as you say, they make you want it, and they make you think, oh no, this is the game that you need. This is, if you only buy one game, it's this one game. But in 3 or 4 weeks' time, it's going to drop. But they rely on you wanting it instantly.
Yeah, but hang on, we did it with Far Cry.
I know, and I regret nothing.
No, neither do I. We've hit like 15-hour mark. We're playing the whole campaign co-op.
Yeah, but saying that though,
co-op, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, but the thing is with that, we still didn't pay the 50 quid price tag that they wanted.
No.
Like we searched everywhere, like high and low, trying to get the cheapest deal, and we got the cheapest deal on CD keys, right? Yeah. So CD keys 38 quid, but as I say, like it's, and that was a download code anyway. But people don't have that sort of disposable. I couldn't sit there and just buy Far Cry 5. Like you keep going on about They Are Billions, right? Looks cool,
brilliant game,
and you're like, yeah, you should play it. You should play it, but I'm not going to drop the asking price for it if I haven't played it.
But it's 15 quid, and it's a real-time strategy horror survival game.
Yeah,
and it's roguelike. So if you die, you can't go load back your save. You've got to build a base.
We're looking at.
They Are Billions is excellent.
Oh, Friday the 13th.
Have you guys played that?
Which what, the new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Dead by Daylight.
It looks quite cool.
It's cool, but you lose friendships with it if you play with friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Basically, you have one person that plays Jason.
Yeah.
Right, and he's going around Camp Crystal Lake, and he has to hunt the teenagers.
Yeah.
And so if you go in there as a group, so you and 4 mates go in there, right? You have to make decisions there. You're like, oh my god, Jason's coming after me right now. So you will deliberately put your friend in front of them to survive. And your mate will sit there and be like, that was a bullshit move. That was a dick move. You're now uninvited to my wedding. You're not getting a Christmas card.
You know what that reminds me of then? Me and a few mates went back on the 360, played non-stop Left 4 Dead 2. And we played it fully for the co-op. And the big move in that was, right, we're all going along. It's going, oh, fuck, there's a witch over there. Be quiet, be quiet. I've just hit the car with my baseball bat. You're fucked.
With Left 4 Dead, like, you'd sit there and you'd work as a team, like, going through, and you're like, yes, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then one person will get downed. That helicopter will come, and you're like, and then you leave them. You just leave them, like, no, it's too risky. And then that one guy doesn't get all those rewards.
Yeah.
And you're like, you have just dicked over your mate, like, and
that happened to one of our mates when we did the there was a reward on Left 4 Dead 2 that you collected the garden gnome and you carried it through the entire level. And you made it to the end of the level with this garden gnome.
Yeah, that's on the fairground, isn't it?
That's it.
Is that Left 4 Dead 2? Was it Left 4 Dead 2? Or I can't remember which one it is, and you had to carry it right to the helicopter. Yeah, but if you died, that's on you.
The final boss was the concert stage.
Yeah. Oh, and the fireworks keep going off.
Yeah.
And they keep drawing more and more. Yeah, oh man, classic. But no, back to the original topic.
So emulation for me though, I kind of draw the line at probably about Mega Drive and N64, and the only reason there is because the N64, I've still not come across a decent emulator that's going to run everything. So I mean, I've got a GPD at home, brilliant little handheld, struggles with the N64. One of our very first videos on our channel was based on something called the Lynx Vision 8, which was a tablet, an Xbox controller. Wonderful thing, and it just about did N64, but still games like GoldenEye wouldn't work. So for me, kind of the N64, I own it now, so I'm just going to buy the games I enjoyed playing on it because there weren't that many. But everything before that, I'm happy to emulate because I know it runs, it's quick, it's easy. When it comes to the Xbox, the original one, because the original Xbox came out when I was working at Game back in the day, and I did the midnight sales for it, and we were very lucky. The people that did the midnight sales and did all the pre-selling, the boss came out and said, right, we've got some Xboxes left over. We put them to one side, 200 quid. You get the original Xbox, an extra controller, the DVD remote, and all the release titles. So massive saving.
So that's good, man.
We were well happy with that. And I've got, as I said, I've just got my Xbox with the original Duke Giant controller. And
they're re-releasing that controller, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It looks really tasty. But all the games for it are 50p at the moment in CEX and all the charity shops. So I've got about 30 games, including games I never own now, like 50p each, and brilliant. Okay, I'm happy with that. So yeah, with emulation, it's a very, very cut down the middle for me. 32-bit, 64-bit, just about, and before I'm going to emulate because I can't be bothered to go out and buy it. They've got really expensive. Anything above that, so Xbox, PS2, PS4, 3 even. And any of the consoles around that sort of generation, I'm going to ignore on emulation because the games are cheap enough. They're not super rare, so the games are easy to get hold of. Unlike, as you say, with Fade to Black or Streets of Rage 2 at 80 quid.
It's just I don't know anyone that's got that sort of money to burn. Like
no,
some of the Gradius games. Gradius, they're really good games. They're really, really good. But on PS2, you're looking at 60, 70 quid. Just for one of them, and you're like, it's not worth it.
People aren't going to play them either. They will store those and seal them and put them away.
But which then pushes the amount up for everyone else. You know, like the less copies that are in the wild.
Honestly, don't get it. Don't get me wrong. I love some of the cover art on games is brilliant, and some of them, even from the Spectrum era, I'd love to kind of get a big frame of all the classic games like School Days that I used to love. But if I buy a game, I want to fucking play that game.
Oh, 100%. Yes. So, for instance, the old hardware that you're talking about, like, I'll let you into a little secret. I've got Flashback, Streets of Rage, Speedball 2 in the other room, loads of different Mega Drive games that were my old games. Like, I've added a couple of them to it, but I don't even have the Mega Drive here. Like, I don't play them because I've got them on the emulation. But it's the fact that of owning sort of this in my collection.
It's like a prop.
It is. It's shell. It's, as I said, like for the old consoles, it's nice to look at. That is more nostalgic to me than the actual like playing the console itself. Like looking at it and be like, that was lovely. That was an awesome game. I'm gonna play this. Let me just plug my Raspberry Pi in.
I've got Operation Wolf sat at home and it's double cassette box, even though it's a single cassette game for the 48K Spectrum. And it's sat at home. I don't have a Spectrum. I don't have a cassette drive for it, but it's sat on one of my shelves because you know what? That was the first ever computer game I got bought for a Christmas present.
Yes.
So I'm going to own it. And I don't care if I can't play that. So I'll collect in that way. But anything else, if I can... And saying that, if I get a ZX Spectrum and a cassette deck tomorrow, I'll fucking put that cassette in and play it.
That's... But so many people buy all of these things. Like, it's like ones that are rife at the moment are PS1 games. There's... like PlayStation 1 seems to be at its prime now.
Yeah, I noticed that one.
There's a game, I can't remember what it is. It's like Under the Sea or something. I might be mistaken, but you control a submarine. It's a side-scrolling shooter.
Another one, yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but that is now in like 400 quid figures.
Jeez. What, for the actual game? Yeah.
Just for the game. But the thing is, though, the game isn't that good. It's just not that good. It's because it's rare, and people now, like, people are like buying games not because they enjoy them and they want to play them. They're buying like, no one else has got this.
Yeah.
Like rare stamps and stuff. It's become like that.
You see,
it's funny. Like bragging rights.
But I think people are doing it now because in the next few generations it won't exist anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
People won't collect for PS4. Not really. The digital downloads. It just physicality, collectability is just, it's been relegated now to the generations that are out.
There's certain things like I had to go out of my way, and probably some consoles I still will go out of my way, even though we can emulate a lot of their stuff. There's just stuff I had to have for my purpose, as you were saying about the having the game itself without the Mega Drive. As I have my Sega Saturn, I had to have that sitting there because it just reminded me so much of when I was younger.
See, it's a beautiful piece. It's good memories. I know exactly what you're talking about, but will you play it? Like, do you still play it, or will you play it?
I have played a bit of it. This one is a bit funny, actually, but it plays for the most part quite well. But it was having that thing. This is the thing with me as well. Buying that Sega Saturn, and these were the two main games. I had Sega Rally and Virtua Fighter 2. They were the first two games I got for it, so I had to go out and buy those first. And with my mate playing Sega Rally Championship, it was just like old times having the Sega Saturn.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was just so brilliant. It was just, and that it just gave me something extra that if it was on the Raspberry Pi, it just wouldn't be quite as good.
I do agree on that. There is something about playing on the original hardware, and that kind of takes me into, I bought a SNES Mini Classic, especially when they were out of stock everywhere. Argos suddenly got them and saying, brilliant, job done. I went and bought one. And I don't know where you guys stand on it, but for me, the SNES Mini Classic is emulation.
Of course.
I actually have an interesting fact about that, just quickly. Okay. The SNES Mini, someone hex edited them and found out that the ROMs that they used weren't even the ones that they'd ripped themselves. They were the ones that were available freely on the internet.
Nice. Well done,
so each ROM that had been ripped is given a unique ID number. Yeah. So, for instance, if I made a ROM rip of something, if I knew how to do it, it would have a unique number. If I did it again, it would have another unique number, and it would go on like that. But the ROMs that they used after hex editing them, the unique number was one that was available on MU Paradise.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent.
So you could just hack them quite easily?
Well, that's what takes me into
essentially, yeah.
Yeah, but that's what's taken me into the SNES Mini Classic. I've already hacked ours. And that's one of the reasons I did that, was because we wanted to play some SNES Classic games on our channel. And what's the easiest way to do it? With a SNES through a video converter into our capture? No, it's easier using the SNES Mini Classic with a ROM on it and play it as it was meant to be played. Original SNES controller, as closest to the hardware as it probably can't be, but is in the same way. And if Nintendo deem it's able to play their games like a SNES, well, it's like playing a SNES.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, there's middle ground though with consoles like the Retron.
Yeah.
See, then you've got the best of both worlds, because if you have got the physical collection, it will actually then play on HDMI and on a TV, and that works on FPGA. So that isn't emulating it; that's actually a hardware level emulating the console, so to speak, not a software. So it's very low end.
Which is it's incredible at the same time. So again, I was very tempted by one of those when I get a chance, but that will then only be decided when I decide, is it going to be worth it? Because am I going to have enough cartridge games to work with it to make?
You could get an EverDrive.
Yes.
No.
Because it's still a cartridge with an SD card.
It's like the R4 cards.
Yeah, exactly.
You used to put them on an SD card, put it in your DS.
Yeah, but have everything.
That was sort of the first, I say first stages, but that was early stages of emulation anyway, and you could do that on original hardware.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing at the time, but now it's to these little Raspberry Pis that are. My greatest one is, the Raspberry Pi Zero?
Yeah.
Right? Came free with a magazine. Right? No. I didn't get the magazine. I bought that second hand for £4.80, I think it was.
Yeah.
Right? And I put that, and it runs all of the old classics on. All of them. Same as what this has, except this has got a few PS1 games which don't run very smoothly, but I'm working on that at the moment. But that Raspberry Pi Zero, so for £4.80, £1 for an HDMI cable, a couple of quid for that. It's cheap. Under 15 quid.
Yeah.
you're sorted.
How much was that one?
That would have been, that's the Raspberry Pi 2. So when I did that for your 30th, it was, I'd say 20 to 25 quid, I think.
Yeah, that's
what is on there is insane.
So yeah,
this is a 2. Like they're just perfect beasts.
Oh, and RetroPie is unbelievable, isn't it?
Sorry. Oh, RetroPie is such a smooth. It's a smooth experience. But it even does things like PC Engine, and Turbo Graphics and everything like that. They do Scum emulators on it.
Scum, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
RetroPie I used to emulate the Amiga, but it emulates it at a hardware level. So I've emulated a hard drive. And
so you're emulating BIOSes as well.
Yeah.
It's the BIOS that you're emulating.
So the games have been copied onto its emulated hard drive, and you have to go through the Workbench operating system to play them. It's not just getting the ROMs and using it that way.
Oh,
so yeah, they're really versatile. Yeah,
the Workbench, that beautiful lime green background, and monochrome icons was a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. And even now, it still looks good.
1987.
Yeah,
crazy.
I don't know if the Amiga was the same, but the Atari ST gave me a complex that has stuck with me for life. It's when you loaded something and it turned into a bee or a wasp. Do you remember that? The loading icon? Now I've got a phobia of them, of bees and wasps. Like, I'm not saying it's because of that, but every time that I saw it, it used to make my skin crawl, and that was before I knew that I had anything like that. Like bees and wasps, I'm not going to like if one came in here now, this pod would be over and I'd be out there. I can't do it. I was sitting there playing Mario Odyssey, and my partner was at the gym, and I had the window cracked open, and a bee came in the size of a small fucking hatchback, right? Came in my front room, I left, I called her up and said, you need to come back for the gym, there's a fucking bee in here, right? She came back and got rid of the bee. I cannot be near them. I can't do it. Honestly, and that thing, that bee, right, dwarfed this thing.
It won't hurt you.
I don't give a shit. It's got an arse dagger. It's not supposed to be, and they upgrade their technology every year. They put all of their money into like structural integrity. And now I remember bees when I was a kid being like this big. Now they're like this big with full fur coats and arse daggers that are like titanium. And like wasps, oh my god! Don't get me. Oh.
I hate wasps.
Well, lucky you haven't been out of the country and seen a hornet. You think wasps are bad? Yes. Look up a hornet.
The closest that I've been to a hornet is I had a day off once where I work, and people were going crazy about it. When I came back in the next day, they were going crazy that there was a hornet in the store. Right? If I was working that shift and I'd have seen that hornet in their phone cabinets, I'd have quit. And honestly, I'd have just sat there and went, fuck your job, I'm out. And I'd just gone. I cannot stand them. No way.
We digress. Going back, the only last kind of memory I've got for emulation, and it shows you how long I've been doing it anyway. I've been emulating kind of the Mega Drive and the Spectrum since at least 95. And the only reason I know it's been 95 was because that's when I went to secondary school. And our secondary school, me and Luke went to the same school. When we got there, it was a huge thing. You went to your first IT class, and you were shown the 386s using again, I don't know if you guys did you guys have RM machines as well?
Yeah.
Everyone had research machines. And the first thing you got given in your IT lesson was we were given our 1.44 megabyte floppy disk. That was floppy disk to save our work to. And dear God, me and your brother, all we ever did at lunchtimes was go in. Windows, it was just, it might be about 96 actually, because we got a set of Windows 95 machines and a really bad ISDN connection for the school. And all we did was search for ROMs, and you could fill up that floppy disk. God knows how many ROMs.
Seriously?
Yeah, it was nice just to get loads and come back, and I can't even think of what the emulator was back then.
Definitely for the Specky.
Oh yeah, for the Specky, definitely. But
it's all Specky games.
Oh, well, and the Mega Drive. We just come back with Mega Drive and SNES. It was SNES 9X. That was the emulator we used to play SNES games on, and that's still going today.
Yeah, that is. It's quite a nice polished one as well.
It is.
It's got a lot of work gone into that. A lot of love.
Yeah, it's got NetPlay, so any of the games that were 2-player, you can do over the internet on it now.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. But the thing is, like Spectrum games, they take kilobytes, like single-digit kilobytes. Yeah. Like, instead of these current games, like the current PS4 games, which are like 60 gig. You're like, what the hell? Think of how many Spectrum games you could get into Destiny 2.
Damn.
It's a lifetime. It's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime.
Multiple lifetimes.
A few hundred, yeah.
Yeah, it's just insanity that games have gone from such small size to such big size, and obviously it's evident from this conversation how much joy the older games bring rather than the newer ones. And I do feel for newer generations that it's I feel sorry for them. I do feel sorry for them because they're not going to experience the sort of joys that we had having to fight for this content. And you know, you would try and Ali, you were saying earlier on about like cracking the copy protection codes and all these different things. That was half the fun of it. Whereas now kids, all they do is they go, "Is Fortnite on it?"
Whereas they can
and that's it. And you're like,
they can gorge on it, can't they?
Yeah.
There's so much out there for them to have, and it wasn't that you had to buy. It was a lot more difficult to emulate when we were younger.
Yeah.
It was a lot. There was a lot. Things seemed a lot more expensive, a lot harder to get hold of. And these days, and also, this is one of the things I've spoken with Tom about. I find utterly incredible, is obviously the games or the graphics of the games that we were playing when we were kids, and you think of that curve of how everything has changed, and we're all still young men, and how it's changed in our lifetimes. I find that mind blowing.
Absolutely.
How it's changed from just 2D Mario when I was a kid to something like Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, that's getting overtaken now. The sort of graphics that you can have now.
It's not just the graphics, is it? Everything's gone crazy. The graphics, the physics, the sound, and it's the storylines. Now it's real world bullshit emulator. So you all these terrible storylines that are really depressing instead of some fucking plumber hitting dinosaurs. Leave it there. Come on.
He's trying to get laid with the princess, and he's going
exactly.
Basic stuff, but some of the basic stuff was better.
Yeah, it was.
Think of Bubble Bubble, right? The theme song to Bubble Bubble.
Right? That's
Puzzle Bubble.
That's Bust a Move, isn't it?
Bust a Move, Puzzle Bubble.
Love that game.
But so the theme to Bubble Bubble was made by one dude. You could tell, just one dude in front of a PC that thought of a catchy tune, and that's it.
Yeah.
But now, I'm going to take you forward now to current gaming, Destiny, right? Destiny 1, right? For the soundtrack, it's a beautiful soundtrack, but they had to sell it that they got Paul McCartney to sing one.
Oh yeah, he's got his own single. It's terrible.
Paul McCartney has got a single for Destiny that's officially licensed and everything. But Matt kind
he sings to the ghost.
Yeah, he sings to the ghost. It's honestly, you should look it up. It's horrible. It's dreadful, and it just die in a fire. But that original sort of Bubble Bubble theme song, it had so much love and so much attention put into it. But now you can tell the sort of, as you were saying, that the curve of video games, it's gone so up now that the fact that the way they sell the video games, they need to get these artists in to do this.
Yeah,
that's
the difference.
It's mind-blowing.
Orchestras, you got full orchestras now.
Soundtrack.
I'm just going to play.
It's as big as movies. The sort of the size of these.
The
games.
budget. It's the budgets as well. Before budgets would be like, you have 7 weeks to make it, and you'd have a salary of it. E.T. was made in 7 weeks to try and beat the Christmas rush. Right, but these newer games now are made by hundreds and hundreds of people that are paid decent wages. Well, I say decent compared to me anyway. Right, and so many hours and so much time has gone into this to make a game that people are probably going to play for less time than they did back in that time, like in the old times.
Well, GTA $250 million.
Yeah.
$250 million for a game.
It's
a massive game, but
then you were talking about kids these days gorging on stuff, and that's exactly right, because when I was a kid, aside from the Amiga, and a lot of my mates had a SNES or a Mega Drive, they'd get one game every 2 months, maybe, if they were lucky. Maybe not even that. And they'd play it to death, and then they'd play it again. Now, you go and get a Humble Bundle, and you got 6 games. You're like, oh, I haven't got enough time to play all of these.
That's why I've done a couple of 90s toy videos recently.
Yeah.
I'm loving them, by the way.
When I had the Spectrum or I had the Mega Drive, we were still out there playing with toys. And because that's the pocket money we got. You look at some of these kids now, they're getting between 10 and 20 quid a week. And they're not even having to do a fucking paper round.
No.
Yeah, they just sit
out there
arse
struggling to earn. They probably don't have that much disposable income after bills and tax. It's hilarious.
But just going back to the music for a moment, so it's funny how you say that, because again, emulation has helped us kind of go back to the old games and see what they were like. And Worms in particular, I was trying to find original Worms soundtrack, because some of the songs to that was wonderful. But but there is a YouTube channel that I've unashamedly put through a YouTube ripper to download the MP3 of it, and it's the entire Lemmings 1 Amiga soundtrack.
Nice.
And
oh man,
it's just if it plays and you can hear it, I'm hoping it will. It's just the classic sound of it. The quality of the sound is just beautiful.
It's got the raw sort of Korg sound to it, isn't it? You know, like valve-driven synthesizers.
Well,
it's just beautiful.
It was MIDI, and again, even going back to the ZX Spectrum, for me, all that bloody machine had was a beeper. It didn't have a speaker; it had a beeper, and out of that beeper, they got digitized speech, entire soundtracks for games.
Yeah, it's crazy what they did with that.
Like Ghostbusters sound.
Yeah,
but that was that. You know, that was really innovative programming as well.
Oh yeah, they had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and saying that, even though the Saturn was probably the last, maybe the Dreamcast as well. The Saturn and Dreamcast were probably the last consoles that they really had to work hard to program.
Yeah.
As the Saturn, designed to be a 2D console, PlayStation was announced. Oh shit, we better make it 3D. Had such a complex architecture to it, they had to work hard to make it do what it did.
But it didn't use polygons, did it?
No,
it wasn't polygons. No. It was one of the other shapes, and that was really difficult for them to program for.
But it did better lighting than a lot of them. So there was a game I had played the demo on PC, and I'm keeping an eye out for it because I absolutely want to play it again. Is Exhumed.
Oh,
I played that.
It was beautiful. It was a first-person shooter. It was kind of using the build engines, the same as Duke Nukem and Blood, which again is another amazing game. And the Saturn version was beautiful. It used a completely different engine, but it was absolutely phenomenal. But trying to get hold of that, it's about 30 to 40 quid a disc.
Yeah,
and that's. Or you could go to the internet and just download it and just play it and have some fun.
Yeah, but saying that the Saturn emulators aren't that wonderful.
No.
What about burning it?
Saturn didn't accept. It's only been, and again, an interesting fact about the Saturn. If you look at, I think it's Ben Heck's channel on YouTube.
Yeah, no. Ben
He's
Heck.
It's only been cracked in the past 6 months.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. It's because what they did is, for the media that they used, Sega were quite intelligent and basically made it so it wasn't a standard size, so you couldn't rip it properly. The laser couldn't reach certain parts of it. Yeah, it was incredibly nigh on impossible to rip.
Didn't it have an audio and data section as well?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Part of it was audio, part of it was data.
If you imagine this is the readable amount of area on a CD, like that, they would make it so the data was this much, but you had to have specific players. Like if you look at a Saturn laser line, it overshoots the normal things, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. It's like the same as the OG Xbox. The OG Xbox was a Celeron, 800 megahertz, and they physically changed the chip to have an extra bit on it. That's why it has been emulated. It's fundamentally different.
Didn't they completely fuck up though with the Dreamcast?
Yes,
the Dreamcast recently been
remarkably easy.
That's what I mean. Like it was really easy.
Yeah, so I got a Dreamcast off eBay about a year ago, and the first thing I looked up was how easy is it to play ripped games? And the post is just burn it to CD, you're done.
You need a bit of compression because it used GD-ROMs.
Yeah,
1 gigabyte discs, but
it's mental. Like I don't know how they dropped the ball on that after being so hot on the Saturn. So then Dreamcast were like, nah, no one can burn their own CDs.
But
what they're talking about,
the Dreamcast was such a wonderful console. I mean, House of the Dead 1 and 2, well, 2 on it even, which is one of the best versions of that game. But I miss Sega. I really miss Sega.
I miss as a console manufacturer. I do, yeah.
And you see, that's really disappointing because we found out recently that there's a shopping centre called the Galleria near us in Hatfield. And it's got a Sega arcade just open inside it.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Stuff.
It doesn't take coins. You've got to go and buy a prepaid Sega card that gets scanned by NFC by the machines.
Yeah.
Just to complicate matters for no good reason. Yeah.
It's like Ghost Squad.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They did re-release Ghost Squad in the arcades without the card option.
Yeah. Now, again, final thing on emulation I can honestly think about before my brain completely collapses, and you played it alongside with me once upon a time. We're going to do it for the channel. Is Metal Slug 1.
That's a good game.
That is a classic that I think anyone I know has emulated at some point, just because it was such an important game in the arcades for us. I don't know how much money I pumped into it, along with Puzzle Bobble.
Yeah.
Or Buster Move, whichever name you want to give it. Both of those games alone were just weeks of pocket money gone in one go.
I mean, I draw the line at Neo Geo because they're ridiculous money.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, there's no way.
Are they?
Yeah, Neo Geo.
Yeah.
What, the cabinet? Or
the console.
Oh, the console.
The console was an arcade board. The cartridges are massive. If you look up, they're ridiculous.
How much was the console back in the day?
A lot.
They did charge
700
quid. That was.
It was 700 something.
Yeah,
like
it was more money than the 3DO, and the 3DO was a hell of an expensive console.
that was $599, I think. The 3DO.
But they weren't offering it. It's like they were charging all that money and barely offering any games in comparison.
And
to
the cartridge was bigger than your Sega.
You could put Neo Geo arcade boards directly into it. It had the same connections for it, so you could get arcade boards and just slam them in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was complete. Well, I say emulation. It was complete hardware. You had the arcade hardware in your hand, but they obviously knew that and they charged that. You know.
Yeah.
But because
70 quid a game, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and that's not for accounting of inflation. That'd be about 140 quid a game now.
But most of that's from production. They couldn't just put it on optical media like now. They had to make that board. Like that board was a circuit board. Do you know what I mean? That's insane. That's sort of Nintendo lines now. That's why they went to cartridges, and that's why Switch games are so expensive, because they cost more to produce.
Have you licked a Switch cartridge?
Do you know what? I did it. We got one sealed when Switch first came out, and I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to try it. I don't believe it. I licked it, and it smelled like rotting... I mean, it tasted like rotting dog food. It's horrible.
What did I do to you when I first got a Switch?
It's on our channel. He recorded it. He didn't tell me anything about it.
Lick it.
He put the camera down and started recording, and it's on our channel.
I think the video title's "Never Lick Another Man's Cartridge."
Oh yeah, great.
Classic.
I'll watch that. That's quite responsible for Nintendo to do that. It's quite nice, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I suppose it works.
It's a clever idea, but you said it reminded you. It's the same stuff that you used to have put on your fingernails to stop you biting.
Bite my nails. Yeah.
It's like anti-smoking as well. You put that to quit smoking as well. You're supposed to put that on the tips of cigarette butts and things, and it's supposed to help you stop. It's exactly the same stuff.
Yeah, but who's going to do that to a 15 quid pack of fags? Nobody.
Oh no, they're not. But it was a tactic used to, if you're like, oh, you need to, you want to quit smoking, this is the surefire way to do it, and then people would put it in and then be like, oh, this tastes horrible, so then they just won't do it anymore.
Stop doing it.
Yeah, they just don't do that anymore. But no, it just doesn't work. But for emulation, that's why I think, as much as I love old hardware and I love the look of it, the aesthetics, I love even the discoloration of the plastic sometimes, like it brings out history to me. I just, emulation is just my go-to. I like to pick up a controller and be like, yes, that was a nice feel. But with the amount of products that come out that people spend, like companies spend thousands and thousands of pounds or dollars or whatever on research to try and make authentic feeling pads. Like, considering this is a Buffalo controller, it's just USB on the end. This is a pretty authentic SNES pad. Like, even the way the buttons like push back with a slightly sort of spongier membrane, it's there. So I feel like the old hardware, and this was, how much was this, Ali? 10 quid?
16 quid, something like that.
Yeah. And
but that's a good point, though, and that's probably worth anyone that is watching this trying to get the idea whether or not it's worth emulating or not. You've got to spend the money on the bits you're going to do it on. Yeah, okay, the Raspberry Pis are semi-cheap, but the £5 Chinese knockoff SNES controllers, the Mega Drive, are just worth it. Yeah. If you're going to do it, but do it properly. Yeah. Still spend. You're not going to get out of spending money just because it's emulating.
Well, exactly.
But it's a lot cheaper, isn't it?
Yeah,
a lot cheaper.
I was talking about being tactile with consoles. I mean, to be honest, that's the one thing you're going to be tactile with, to get that right, because you're not
that looked nice,
stroking your console while you're playing your game, or sniffing it, or doing anything else. So,
that's
right
it.
With the controller.
As long as you've got like authentic feeling controllers, I think it doesn't matter what you play it on. Let me put it in perspective. You can buy Streets of Rage 2 for 80 quid, or you can spend 80 quid and play anything that you want.
Yeah.
You know, buy the decent sort of feeling hardware, and then when you do find Streets of Rage 2 at a car boot sale or something, you can buy that and have it to look at. You know, that's, you know, people are buying games to sell on instead of buying it for the actual nostalgia of having it, and that's why they're so expensive. Streets of Rage is massive amount of money, to the point where I don't own them. I own Streets of Rage 1, but I can't afford to rebuy the old Mega Drive games that I used to have and traded in stupidly when I was younger. You know, when newer consoles came out, it's what's everyone else's opinion? Well, if you had to have a preference, like individually, what side do you bat for?
Emulate. It has to be, though, I think, and it's just getting that right balance, though. So, you know, as you're saying, with the new Nintendo consoles, you can go out and buy one of the sort of mini ones, or even buying the old consoles that you just have to have. But you're always going to have emulation there, always.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go the same. I'm going to have to say, although I love my collection of consoles, and I'll still go and buy the games, especially when the PS1 games, for example, are 50p, like the Xbox ones, I'm still going to stick with emulation for the time being, because I can play an entire evening of games across my entire generation of gaming history without having to pull out every cable under the sun and get it running.
Yeah,
so,
no emulation. Ali?
If I had a games fortress,
that would be sweet.
If money was no object,
yeah,
I've got the technical ability. I'd have real consoles. I'd have a wall, a wall of them, and I'd have them all set up, and I'd have all the collections, and I would want them physically. But it's not. So emulation.
So it's more of a financial thing.
Well, no, it's just logistical. It's everything.
Yeah.
It's not about, in an ideal world, hands down, I'd want the originals. But it's not an ideal world, so you know, emulation, it's convenient.
So if you had unlimited money, you would have that. That's what it means.
Unlimited money, unlimited space.
I'd go onto eBay. I'd find the largest CRT screen I can possibly buy.
Exactly.
From the 90s.
Sony Trinitron.
I would have every goddamn light gun game, like Time Crisis, House of the Dead, set up in a room.
Light gun is my jam. That is exactly what I would do. Exactly. I want a Crypt Killer arcade machine. And I'm not going to... It wouldn't even fit in this room.
I'll tell you what, I found it on Google. I'll send you over the link later, probably tomorrow when I'm at work and meant to be working. There is now light guns available for the old consoles that work on LCD TVs.
Really?
Yeah.
You are shitting me.
Generation of...
So it's not through infrared sensors?
No, it's using a PS... It still connects to the PS2. And I'm not sure how it works, but they are all designed for LCD TVs.
That's it.
He's got.
I'm calling sick for the rest of the year. That's it.
I know when you're rubbing your lap, you're not just getting rid of the sweaty palms this
time.
No.
My staff is at full attention.
I love light gun games as well. I fucking love them. Absolutely cool.
They're brilliant.
Oh,
I threw away an original Time Crisis cabinet.
Oh.
I couldn't get it working, so I had to go.
That G-Con.
Action. Oh.
The G-Con 2 as well. Oh, what a design of a gun.
Brilliant.
I own G-Con, a G-Con 1, G-Con 2, and a G-Con 3, and I don't have the means to play it. I don't have a CRT TV, but it's just the fact of owning those light guns. It's just, light guns is like a collector's piece for me.
Yeah.
Like, if I see a light gun, I want it. Not because I'll play it, because I don't have, these are all LCD. I want them in my hand. I had one that had the proper... The chamber.
Recoil,
yeah. Played Die Hard Trilogy with that. That's where original hardware comes into its own. If you have to use a peripheral like racing games or light gun games or fighting games, that's where I think original hardware is gonna. That's where it comes into its own, because I can emulate Time Crisis 2 all day on this, right? And I will not enjoy it as much as if I had a light gun. You just can't do it. That's where I prefer original hardware over emulation. But for 95% of the library of games, I prefer emulation, just for the ease, the price, everything. Yeah. But I think we should call it there, because we have been on here for 2.25 hours.
Jesus!
Can you believe that? 2.25 hours. But anyway, we're going to have to end it here, because we're all getting a bit tired. We've been on for a long time, and after all the after all the editing, it's going to be quite a. I personally think it's going to be one of the best. I think.
No, I agree, and thank you very much, guys, for having me.
I was just going to say, I want to take the opportunity to thank Video Game Basement for being on our channel, because it means a lot. We're going to stick this out to the world and hopefully make more videos in the future. Like, I'd quite like to do this as a regular thing. Like, we'll have different subjects and we'll just throw them out there. See if we can get some debates going. I think that'd be pretty good. But thank you ever so much for being on here.
And from our point, again, thanks to you Modded Gossip guys, because we're still very early on, and I know we've been going for a year now, but we're still very early in our career. And if you look at our very first videos through to what they are now, how much we keep changing it and trying to work out
absolutely
better as we go. And it's you guys that have helped us, because you've been pointing us in the right direction of what's been successful and what hasn't, and then having the chance to come onto another channel as well.
It's cool, really
brilliant.
Cool, really
so
nice.
It really makes it for us, guys.
No, we really appreciate you coming on here. Like, we'd like to keep doing this. It'd be really nice. These guys have been Video Game Basement. He's Ali. I'm Stu. We'll see you next time. Thank you ever so much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. You guys.